Hey you guys, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 fabulous fall DIYs. This season has been crazy, you guys. From fall to Christmas, from Christmas to fall, we're having a blast sharing all of these beautiful DIYs. But in today's video, I wanted to share this compilation of fall DIYs to continue to inspire you to create beauty around your home for all the seasons. If you don't mind to sharing this video with your friends on Facebook, on Instagram, and on WhatsApp, why? Well, because it is free and it really helps this channel. And don't forget that we have our private group on Facebook. You can come and join. All you have to do is go to Facebook, go to the post that is pinned to the top, read the instructions, and come and join even more DIY and crafting. It's crazy. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with this terracotta pot that I have used for a past project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this green moss. And you know what? I think this green moss has seen better days. You guys know that I like to reuse my containers and certain items because I just use them to teach you techniques on how you can create this beautiful design. So sometimes I make a project, I take it apart and I store it. And so for this particular one, I'm gonna use this terracotta pot that, believe it or not, was in my garden this past spring, and I just put some foam inside. And the way to do this foam is you have to make sure that it is as tight as possible, so that way your design is not coming apart in the middle of the season, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna replace that green foam with some of this gray foam because I do want to cover some of this perimeter. And look how pretty that gray moss just looks. It is perfect for fall, and I just love the organic design that this gives to our beautiful arrangement. Now, this is something that I learned how to do when I worked as a florist, and that was a long time ago. I was a florist for about 15 years, so I learned all of the tricks of the trade, and now that's what I want to pass along to you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a skewer, and what you need to do is like poke some of this moss into place, and all you have to do is like grab a skewer or a pen or a pencil and just poke some of that, and that's going to lock in some of that moss, and it's not gonna come out anytime soon. All right, so now that I am done with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the excess moss, and you know what, I'm just gonna put it over there for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my pumpkins, and I'm gonna start with a large one, and I'm gonna make sure that I center it like this. I wanna make sure that it's centered right here. And I'm gonna take this stem out. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab one of these skewers or these stems. I'm gonna grab the longest one, so I make sure that it goes all the way down. And I'm gonna go all the way through, and I'm gonna penetrate, making sure that I poke through my pumpkin, so that way I can go all the way down. But I have to make sure that I leave enough of it for my next layer. Okay everyone, so what we're going to do is we're gonna grab a little square of florist foam, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna about center it right here, and I'm going to penetrate the foam going down like this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna go from the top, so I'm gonna make sure that I go on the same hole like that right next to the other skewer, and this is going to double secure my foam and then also my pumpkin, so she's not gonna go anywhere. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab the second pumpkin, and I'm gonna make sure that I go right in the middle like this, and I'm going to poke like that. Look how easy that was, right? So now that I have them secure, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my hot glue gun, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out. This is the one that worries me the most. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put some glue on it, and then I'm gonna center it again to make sure that she stays right there. So this is the basics of our topiary. I'm gonna get all my florals and my greenery ready, and I'll be right back. Keep watching. Okay, so for our next step, what we're going to do is we're gonna add our florals and our foliages. And I'm gonna start with this beautiful eucalyptus that I have used a few times before, and I just absolutely love this eucalyptus, you guys. It is so pretty. But we're going to mix it with some of this maple. So what I want to do is I'm gonna do a triangle right here with this particular greenery because I only have so much of it. So what you want to make sure is that you use all throughout your bouquet. So we're going to use 3 for the bottom. Remember, it has to be the same. What happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up always must come down. So that's why we want to make sure that we use all the same greenery all the time. And so we're going to do this right here. Look how you already have the same greenery on the top and then on the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some of these cut off maple, and these are the ones that are going to be closer to my arrangement, and the ones that are going to kind of fill in my spot. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and grab it. At this point, if you are making this for sale or to give away to a family member, I recommend you glue this. Since I said to you before, this is just for demonstration purposes. All I'm going to do is, well, just cover it and then reuse some of these materials. If you made it to this video so far, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, you guys, because that really helps the channel and it helps us get to more people. So share it with your friends, with your family members, with whoever wants to know about home decorating ideas and DIYs, so that way they know about Ramon at home and they can come and join us. All right, so now I have this beautiful yellowish maple, and what I'm going to is I'm going to put all of these greeneries all the way to the top because I want them to be really close, and because I want to cut them all at once like that. So I'm going to cut one and I'm going to insert right here. Remember, we're trying to cover some of this perimeter of our topiary as much as possible, and the best thing you can do is spin that bouquet around, and keep in mind what happens on the right happens on the left, what goes up must come down, and I promise you, you will always have a very well balanced bouquet. And it really is about balancing your bouquets. When you see a bouquet that just doesn't feel right, if you look at the balance first, you'll probably find out that the person who made it didn't understand balance when it came down to florals and foliages. And so I don't want you to be one of those people. So I really do want you to understand the mechanics that go into creating a beautiful bouquet of flowers, or topiary in this case. So I'm just going around and I'm trying to cover as much as I can of that foam. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these florals, and like I said before, these came from Walmart, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of my flowers very short. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut them short already so we can insert, but I do want to leave as much as I can of this particular stem because I want to show you how to do a DIY with a stem like this one. So sometimes the floral comes in this long form and we cut them all the way down to here just to cut up here, right? Well, I'm going to share with you how to reuse this for a floral pick DIY that I'm going to share with you coming up soon. So remember, keep this part, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 florals, but we're going to keep this. It almost looks like one of those things that you use to scratch your head. All right, so now that we have our florals, I'm going to separate them by color. So there's 3 of each, therefore 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 right here, and then I'm going to go opposite the other side like this. And remember, we work in triangles, and so because I did 2 on the bottom, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this one right here on the top, creating that triangle motion. We always want to make sure that we create that triangle motion. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat. So what happens on the right, check this out. What happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up always must come down. So because I did the triangle, because I did left and right, so now I have to create that triangle. I'm going to do this guy right here on the top. So I'm going to repeat one more time with these guys right here. So I'm going to add this one right here. And I just love this color combination. I think it is so pretty, like that. And so now I'm going to go up right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this moss that I had left over, and I'm going to grab little bundles like this. And then I'm going to go in here and find parts where I can see my foam, and I'm just going to tuck in some of that moss. Look at this right here. You cannot see the moss, and it adds some organic feel to your arrangement. So that was another trick that we did with fresh flowers. So you look for places like, I'm going to see if you can see right here where there's foam right here. So you're going to grab that moss and you're gonna tuck in some of that moss in there. Be careful because this moss, it comes really dusty, so you want to make sure that you don't breathe all of that. So I'm going to do one more right here and see how that covers some of the greenery. There's one more right here that I'm going to do. I'm going to finish this and I'll give you a close-up of this beautiful bouquet. All right, everyone, so here is your close-up of this absolutely gorgeous topiary that, as you can see, was super easy to make using this gorgeous terracotta pot that you may already have laying around. Just a few greeneries and florals, 2 pumpkins, and look how absolutely gorgeous this can be on an entryway table, perhaps on your mantle, even on a coffee table will be absolutely gorgeous if you are having a party on the outdoors decorating. It is so beautiful and super easy to make and simple. I really hope that you give it a try, and if you do, be sure to come back and leave me a comment and let me know how you like yours. And in this case, I want to cover some of my perimeter with this. So I'm gonna grab some 20 gauge wire. I'm gonna cut it into half and we're going to create some S hooks. Now you can also buy this at Hobby Lobby already made if you don't wanna take the time, but since I already have the wire, why not just do it ourselves? So basically just fold them in half, you create an S-shaped hook. Now that I have plenty of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the perimeter of my container. And you know what, if you don't mind, I'm going to put a little cloth under my container because it's making that noise and it's kind of going to bother me. So I'm going to do this, and that way we won't be hearing it all class long. Right, so now once again, I want to go around the perimeter and covering all of that foam, especially around the container, the rim of the container. We don't want to see that container, and the way you do it is you just gather and pinch, and then you put your S hook right here. Okay, so now that we have our mechanics finished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a large pumpkin that's going to be our centerpiece, and to insert it, I'm going to grab a wire and I'm going to add it at an angle because I want my pumpkin to be at an angle. So I'm going to go like this. I want the pumpkin to be kind of cattywampus because I love the word cattywampus. All right, you guys, so I want to say that if you don't follow us on our private group on Facebook, we are posting right now over 10 DIYs a month. It's called Ramon at Home Masterclass. 10 DIYs a month plus 4 live videos. It's a lot of work, but we're having a blast over at the masterclass. All right, so now I want to show you a trick. If you have a stem like this and if you don't have a pick machine, what you need to do is like squirt, and then you're going to twist, and then you basically just pull this out, this little plastic out, and you're going to be left with the wire that is inside. So it's a sharper wire and you can really use to poke into your arrangement. So we're gonna start right here on the top to kind of balance my pumpkin, and then I'm gonna grab some of the longer ones because I want this to really be very large. So remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So immediately when you do something on the right, you're gonna come over to the other side, and then you're going to poke to the left, and that's what's going to create our balance and then also our width. And so now I'm going to go right here and poke because we went to our right, we have to poke on the left. And so now I'm going to continue to do around the perimeter, and the way to do that is just by adding around the pumpkin first. And since we already determined our width, what we need to do is replicate on both of the other corners. So I'm gonna grab 2 of the larger ones. Oh, look how fancy, I feel fancy having all of this right here. Now remember, when you're inserting your foliages, remember to give them a little bit of a twist because that's what's gonna get all of that money-making feeling to it. So see how this is how large our centerpiece just got? Okay, you guys, so I just wanted to share real quick. So this is what it looks like when you pull out the plastic part of it. And what that does is it just makes it really easy for insertion, and it really is comfortable to insert when you peel it. And so now that we have that insert, remember, all you have to do is go around with your little wire cutters right here, go around, then twist it and pull it out. And that's going to leave you with that exposed wire. Like I said, that is a great trick to know if you don't have a pick machine because it really exposes that wire and it makes it so easy to go ahead and insert. So, okay, so I'm gonna add just a few more right here. And remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So we have to make sure that we have this oak all the way around the perimeter. By the way, you guys, this oak is from David Christopher's. Okay, so the next thing we're going to add is going to be some of this beautiful, beautiful fern that I love. I love, love, love asparagus fern. And because look how dainty this is. This is absolutely gorgeous, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of this as a flyaway. And look at that. It just creates so much texture. And so we're going to go up and then we're going to go down right here. And we're gonna have to make sure that it really goes into the foam. And so I'm going to repeat right here. I'm gonna go up and then I'm gonna let it dance and then I'm going to make it long right here by adding some beautiful long pieces, and I'm going to bring it over to this side to add yet another one over here. Remember, what goes up must come down, so we have to make sure that we have the same textures all throughout the arrangement, and that's what's going to make your arrangement absolutely sing. And this is just a little touch, like I said, to create more movement on your centerpiece. This is what it looks like so far, and the way I'm going to do is I want to add sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to add one right here. That's going to help us cover the void. Now remember that we always add sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. And so the way we do that is in a triangle. Remember also the triangles are the most pleasing shape to the eye in design. So that's why we want to add this triangle right here. And once we have our triangle, we're going to spin it around. We're going to give it a little bit of fluff. And then we're going to do a set of 2 on the other side. Why? Because what happens on the right happens on the left, but it doesn't have to really be the exact same number, and you'll see why. So we're going to add a set of 2 right here. Look how pretty this looks, you guys. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love, 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 love this so far. Okay, so now, but what about these 2 sides, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to add a cluster of 2 right here. And for this occasion, I chose this beautiful, almost like a pastel flower, because I love the combination of pastels with the fall colors. It just serves as a highlighter. It makes your arrangement even more beautiful. And look at the way we're going to add this right here. So we added a cabbage rose and then just a garden rose, and we're going to spin around all the way over here, and we're going to repeat our matter, and that's what's going to bring all of the texture to our arrangement. So once again, because this happened on my right, it has to happen on my left, and the way we do that is by spinning about 180 degrees on an angle. So that way we're going to have both roses. Look at this. So you have cluster of sunflowers over here, clusters of sunflowers over here, then we spin around, and so now we have a cluster of roses over here and a cluster of roses over on this side. Okay, so moving on. So we're going to add also some of this beautiful flower that I am obsessed with. You guys, this is from the at-home store, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know what the name of it is. I bought like 3 stems of it last year, and I really wish that they had it this year. They did not. Well, probably because when we went to at-home, funny story, we drove, it's about an hour and a half. We drove all the way over there, and they didn't have any fall. So we had to drive back with our empty hands, but we'll go back. So once again, I squirted it and I put that, exposed that because I really wanted to poke out. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to continue to cluster over on this side some of these florals, and that's going to create like a little bouquet of flowers. And so I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did over here. Now I have to come over to this side and replicate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one right here. So we added 3, and remember once again, the triangle, it's the best or the most pleasing shape to the eye. So we're going to do some like that. Then I'm going to add another one right here. And look at that, that just created that little cluster right here. And I also love the way this looks. Once again, by adding just some of this to the ends, that we're going to what I call cap it. So we're gonna create like a cap, because we have to have this floral all throughout our arrangement. And once again, just spin around and bring the other side like that. All right, so Ramon, what do we do with the gaps? Well, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to add some pumpkins, and the way we're going to do that is we're gonna grab some of this wire once again, and we're going to poke at an angle on my styrofoam container, and I'm going to see where do I need some coverage, and I wanna say right about here. And see how by adding this pumpkin right here, it also adds so much texture. So I'm gonna spin around and I'm going to add yet another one right here. And so the way I'm going to do that is by grabbing a pumpkin, and I'm going to grab another one of those exposed wire stems I'm going to poke through my pumpkin at an angle, and then I'm going to go right here and insert, going all the way down into my arrangement and create more of a cluster. Isn't this gorgeous, you guys, for your coffee table, your entryway table, your dining table? It is so easy to make, and look how much texture for fall this will give you. Remember, when you're inserting thinner stems, grab them like a pencil. Don't forget to break the rules with the flyaways. Just remember that what goes up must come down, and just let your eye dictate. And when you are clustering flowers, you can use elements like your pumpkins to fill in and create bigger clusters. So I started by adding all of these barrels of mesh, and I'm sure you guys have seen this done before. So what you want to do is just roll them up. This is a 12-inch mesh from Hobby Lobby. And what you do basically is you roll them up, you pinch them, and then you add them right here. I explained all of this on the group, on the masterclass. If you joined the masterclass already, well, I'm so thankful that you are there. If you haven't, all you have to do is go to my Facebook page, scroll to the post that is featured to the top, and that'll give you the instructions. I explained everything about why we wire some of them, like this right here. So I'm going to add this one with a wire over here in the back. And then also I explained why some of them we twist and turn like this. And so I'm going to put this one right here. All right, so once that we have all of our mesh in place, well, you know what? I have one left. Let me see, where do we need it? Where we need it right here. So I'm gonna add it right here. So once that we have all of our mesh in place, what we're going to do is we're gonna face it towards us like this. And I'm going to start by adding the foliages. And for that, I selected all of these beautiful David Christopher foliages. And remember, you do get 10% off when you shop David Christopher's by adding the code Ramon10 on their website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of foliage, and I'm gonna start right here on the bottom. And the reason why I like to use some of this evergreen is because all of this glue really does attach to our evergreen better than if we didn't have it. It just latches on, and if you let it dry, it will be absolutely beautiful. And remember that the taller ones go towards the top, because that will help us cover most of it on the top. And remember, what happens on the right happens on the left, so I'm going to add another one on the other side. We want to make sure that we have that balance, you guys. And the way we create balance is by repeating to ourselves, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. And right now, the example is this right here. So I'm gonna go right, and then I'm going to do left on the other side. So we're going to do this. I always tell you that as soon as you add one to the right, you add one to the left, to the other side. But because this is a rather large project, then what I like to do is just do one at a time, and then I'll spin it around towards me, and then I'll start over on this side right here. When I have a longer one like this one right here, what I like to do is, since I already did the front, I want to make sure that it's all the way in the back, especially if you're going to be putting this on your mailbox, which I think it'd be absolutely spectacular. Then it is perfect for that, and you want to add some glue to it. And remember to make sure that it touches that evergreen, because once it touches the evergreen, that glue is really going to allow it to adhere to it very, very easily. All right, so before we continue with the foliages, I'm going to put my foliage box over here, and I'm going to grab some ribbons. This is the ribbon that we used on that beautiful wreath that you guys will be seeing on the screen right now. It is a gorgeous wreath DIY that we did on our group. And let me just tell you, I also love having you on the group on Facebook, because we are really getting to build this, I feel like this sense of community on the group that is just really, really beautiful. And the ladies tell me that that's exactly how they feel. So I just absolutely love it. But I decided to share this lantern right here on the Facebook page so that you guys could see the techniques. It is the same technique. All you have to do is adjust the size of it. You know, the wreath would be circle. Well, now it's going to be a swag. So I'm going to add another bow right here with my wire. I'm going to twist it around, and then I'm going to do another loop right here. And then I'm going to let that tail hang out. Now here's a trick. You're gonna grab some pieces of the same ribbon. We're gonna pinch it, give us some ear bunnies. And so now I'm gonna go all the way down right here, and I'm going to attach it like this. And I'm gonna let those tails hang, and that's going to elongate our lantern form. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Make sure that you form those bunny ears, and then we're going to attach right here. And then I'm going to swirl it around. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. So that means that we have to do the exact same thing over on this side. So we're just gonna grab a bristle and we're going to attach with a bristle. So let this, look how pretty those tails just hang forward. And so now we have tails, 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 bow on the top. But that's not it. I also use this ribbon. This ribbon is from Shinoda Design Center. And I just absolutely love it. So what we're going to do is we're gonna start right here on the top. I'm gonna grab a bristle, and the way I wanted to add this is just adding a little touch of this ribbon. And the way we do that is by adding just some loops and tails. And I love the way these little tails really add so much texture to my swag. Look at that. And this would be the same technique that I would use for a Christmas tree. And also another tip I can give you is to have a lazy Susan. It really does come in handy. Look, you guys, I can just move it from one side to the other one. It's part of our tools, so you know I always tell you that you have to have your tools at the ready because that will make you a more efficient crafter, DIYer, and designer. I was taught when I was learning that you are only as good as you are fast. So we have to not only be good, but we have to be really fast in order to create. Especially if we're doing this for a living, you know, like I have to make so many videos, then I have to be fast in order to create more content. So now we're gonna go back to our greenery. Now this greenery right here, it's this beautiful asparagus fern. And you guys, I love working with asparagus fern because it's so dainty. As you guys can see, it has so much movement. Look at this. And when the wind catches this on the outside, it just looks absolutely beautiful. And it's gonna give you all of that movement that you need on your swag. And I'm gonna start right there on the top, and I'm going to work my way back to this way. So I'm gonna start right here. And see, now here's the other secret. This fern right here, I bought a green, and because I needed it for fall, I just went ahead and grabbed another foliage like this one, and I inspired myself by, and I spray painted it with a specially formulated spray paint for florals. It's called Design Master, and you can find all of the information on my masterclass group. We did a video explaining all of the tools, and one of the tools is all of this spray paint that you need for designing. Look, as I talk, because I talk a lot, I know I talk a lot. Look how pretty this is. It looks so autumn. I just love the colors. I love the textures, but what it does really need is going to be some sunflowers and floral. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some sunflowers and some beautiful mocha daisies, and I'm gonna start with my sunflowers right here. I want them to be a little shorter, so I pre-cut all of them. So I'm gonna start with this one right here on the very top. Remember to work with sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. And so because that's the top, that's our crescendo, then I'm going to, oh, I said crescendo, listen to me, a Sunday word. All right, so I'm gonna add one right here. Then I'm going to add yet another one right here. See, that's going to create my focal point. And then I can work my way back out. So I'm going to add one right here, like this. And then immediately I'm going to go over to the other side, and I'm going to attach another one over on that side. So maybe right about here. Making sure that goes through my evergreen. Look how pretty, you guys. And then I'm going to bring another one over to this side, and I'm going to give it a little bit of curvature, so because I'm gonna stick it going up. So because I stick it going up, then it needs to be facing forward. And in this occasion, I have to be very intentional where I add my sunflower like that. We're gonna give them a little bit of a juice. Now I'm gonna move on to all of these beautiful daisies, and I'm going to go over to this side. I'm gonna add one where my other sunflower went, right about the same height. And now I'm gonna work myself up. So I'm gonna add yet another one, and I'm going to twist it around. I'm gonna go towards the back right here. Moving my ribbons. Remember 1, 2, and so now I'm gonna go over on this side. You have to create that triangle that I'm always telling you guys about. That's the more pleasing shape of the sign to the eye. So we're gonna add right here. Okay, we're gonna fluff all of those bows towards the end, remember? But I do have this other beautiful flower that I absolutely love. Now this guy is from the at-home store. and I just absolutely love it. It is a dainty, almost like a, to me it reminds me of hydrangea. I know it's not hydrangea, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know what kind of flower this is. I just love it. I love the way it looks. And I'm gonna start right here. It's now about separating all of your bows. Look how pretty that looks right here and right here. All right, you guys, so here is the end result of this gorgeous fall lantern. I absolutely love the way this turned out. It is perfect for your entryway table, for perhaps outside on an urn. Can you imagine this outside on an urn? And like I said, this swag can also be made for the mailbox, you guys. It doesn't take very much time. It is packed with ribbons, foliages, sunflowers, and other things that I just think that you are going to love. In this case, I put a little candle inside and I just love it. All right, everyone, so to create a gorgeous fall mantle, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna design something lavish and very affordable with ribbons and stems. And I just wanted to point out right here, I have all of my stems at the ready. I have some eucalyptus, I have some maple, I have some oak, and we're going to mix all of them. So I have them gathered in this basket. I'm gonna lay it right here so that I can pull from. And then also I have this type of greenery that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I will be talking to you about where I got the items as I go along. But I just wanna let you know that I have all of my materials at the ready, my wire over here, because we're gonna wire some ribbons, and then also some scissors and some ribbon over on this side. It is best if you just have all of your materials at the ready when you are working, whether it's on a mantle, a wreath, a Christmas tree, a garland, because that way you don't have to be looking for all of it, right? So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of this greenery. This is from Walmart, and what I like about this is because it's gonna give us that touch of green. Even though it's going to be a fall design, I do want to have a little touch of green, because if you've been following the channel, you know that I lived in the Midwest. And when I lived in the Midwest, I used to go out running, and my favorite thing about going out running during the fall was to see the changing of the pines, and then also the trees changing. So the evergreens and all of the beautiful colors of the trees changing was my favorite thing. So I always try to use some of the greenery on my fall designs. And as you can see, I'm gonna show you right here, I wanted to spill forward because I wanna be able to see it, so I don't wanna hide it. And just by grabbing one of these bristles, all you have to do is twist it, and that's going to secure right there. Just twist it real quick. And see that I'm repeating the matter right here. What happens on the left happens on the right, and what goes up must come down. So we're going to make sure that we repeat the matter on each side just by twisting one of our bristles over here. And like I said, this greenery you can find at your local Walmart store. I know for a fact they still have it because I just saw it a few days ago. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, now that I have some of that greenery, I want to lay some ribbon. So I'm gonna grab some of this beautiful ribbon with a pumpkin, and I have already cut it into strips because I want to make sure that I'm as fast as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pinch right here, and I'm gonna go over on this corner and grab my bristles, of course. I'm gonna do just one big swoop like this. And for this particular design, you guys, I want something very loose. You're gonna see a lot of these tails hanging because I want it to be really loose and nothing too tight and compact. So I do want to be able to, when I have all of my greenery already laid and all my foliages, I want to be able to pull this ribbon here so that I can see it. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. So like I said, very loose, very, very loose. So I'm gonna grab this right here, and I'm gonna go here in the middle, and I'm just gonna tie it like that. And I was gonna let those right there hang. I'm gonna grab another strip over on this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do the same thing that I did on this side. And this is just gonna add some touch of orange, and it's gonna add that fall feel. I love decorating a mantle, you guys. When I worked at the flower shop I worked at in Kansas, one of our jobs was to go into customers' homes and decorate it. And one of my favorite was to decorate for fall, because I just love the colors of fall, the smells, the textures, and thankfully the temperatures are starting to low, so that way that we can enjoy fall, right? All right, so now what I'm going to do is, this is the longest strip of ribbon that I have, so I'm going to make a bow real quick with a long tail. So I'm gonna grab right here. And like I said, I want this to be very loopy. You want it to have a little bit of give and a little bit of air when you are doing this design. So I'm gonna do maybe a 4 loop bow like this. So I'm gonna do a 5 because I have the ribbon, so why not? Look how fast it is to do it. How good are you at doing bows? You know, practice makes progress. I don't like that saying that says practice makes perfect, because I don't believe in perfection. So I'm never striving for perfection. What I'm always striving for is to just get better. Every bow that I make, every wreath that I make, every Christmas tree I decorate, I just strive to be a little bit better than I was the last time. All right, so now I'm going to put this bow right here in the middle, making sure that I attach both of my wires so that way it's not going anywhere. And that's why it's so good to have these wires at the ready. Now I'm not gonna fluff the bow because I have so much more to put in. And the next thing we're going to add is going to be some of these. Now this right here, you guys, used to be a garland that I cut into 4. This was a long garland, as you can see, and I really love how loose it is, how loopy it is. And so I cut it into 4 pieces, so that way I can now start going the opposite way. So now I'm gonna start right here where the bow is, and I'm gonna grab just a bristle, and then I'm going to go the opposite direction. So every time that you insert one of these, you need to make sure that they go the same way. So I'm gonna put one right here in the corner. Look how I skipped a piece, because actually I'm gonna go all the way down over here, because we have other greenery. So that means that you don't have to have all of the same greeneries at the same time, but you do have to have cohesion, and I'll talk to you about that in just 1 second. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I have these other branches. This is from Hobby Lobby and I love it. So now I'm gonna get my cutters over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut them short like this one, and I'm gonna start filling in. And when I fill in, I want to make sure that I go down like this, because I want it to go down. I want this to be as lavish. I'm gonna put these guys over here. Sorry if you see them in the camera. Oh yeah, you do. See how it goes down like this? I want it to be as loose, like I said, as possible. And for that, I need to cut some of this. So I'm gonna go to my right, and I'm gonna switch to my left over on this side, and just grabbing a bristle, I'm gonna twist it in like this. I'm gonna grab another one. I have some that are already cut because I use them for other projects, and I'm gonna go right here, just grab a bristle and twist it. You want to make sure that you insert that stem into the garland, and just grabbing a bristle, twist it there to secure. And see how it even stands it up? I just love it. I love this type of greenery. It gives us so much to work with. And I'm gonna put one going down like this, going all the way down. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love fall. Like I was saying, the colors of fall, the smells of fall just remind me of the Midwest. All right, so now the next item I'm going to add is going to be some of this guy right here. And I just absolutely love this. Look how dainty it is, how loose and beautiful it is. So I'm gonna start right here on the top, and I'm gonna insert this guy. And this is what's gonna be kind of like our flyaway. And the best thing you can do, like I said, is just remember that what happens on the right happens on the left. So if you put one going north, you have to put the other one going south. And then what I want to do right here is to immediately go like this to kind of create this right here. So now I'll move to the other side. The other thing you could do is literally just finish one side and then do the other, but most likely you're going to forget and it's not going to look balanced. And remember, the balance is your friend when you are decorating for any season, because you want to make sure that everything looks cohesive, well balanced. Look at that. I'm gonna put it like that. You make sure that they spill forward like this. So pretty. And I'm gonna use this guy right here. Like that. Look at that. Oh, so pretty. And I don't wanna forget my ends. So what I'm going to is I'm gonna come right here. I'm gonna go up and just grabbing one of those bristles right here. I'm gonna give it a twist. Remember, you wanna have all of the same items or products all throughout your garland to make it look cohesive. All right, you guys, so for our next step, which is going to be my favorite step, I'm going to do some really loopy bows. I'm gonna just drop this on the floor. I have two bolts of ribbon, but I don't know that I'm gonna need the two because there seems to be like a lot of ribbon on that bolt. So what I'm going to is I'm gonna do put a tail about 12 inches. And what we're going to do is just 2 loop bows. We're going to do probably like a 7-inch loop and a bigger one, like a 10-inch loop. And then we're going to just do another tail. So I'm gonna cut right here. And I'm going to put the scissors on my pocket and the ribbon as well. This is how I... This is crazy, but this is how I used to work, with the ribbon hanging and the scissors hanging from me all the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do a wire right here, and we're going to wire this together. And so we're gonna be left with 2 ribbons, 2 ribbon tails, and a 2-loop bow. And so I'm gonna start right here on the corner, and I'm gonna grab a bristle from over here, and I'm going to just twist this guy like that. And then what we want to do is we grab our scissors and we dovetail, and we just want those tails to hang. That is the beauty of this design, that you just have this really beautiful mantelpiece with mostly greenery or foliages and some ribbons. And the beauty of it is the difference between the ribbons. We first laid this pumpkin ribbon, and so now we're going to do this beautiful foliage ribbon. I'm gonna cut right here, and remember to do them at a different lengths, and don't forget to always use your wires. I'm always telling you that if you have all of your materials at the ready, then it is faster for you, because you don't have to stop and wonder, oh, where's my ribbon, or where's my my scissors. I'm gonna add one right here, and you have to make sure that you see these bows like that. I'm gonna grab a bristle and I'm gonna tie it like that, and this is gonna help us fill in. Look how pretty this is. We grab our scissors and we want to make sure that we dovetail right here. I'm gonna do yet another one. Isn't this gorgeous? Are you guys enjoying this video? If you are, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, because that really helps the channel. It helps us reach other people that are interested in the same subjects, like home decorating, DIYs, fall decorating, Christmas DIYs. And if you've been with us for a while, well, let me just say thank you so much for being here. I've been having a lot of fun with the fall series, and I really hope that you are as well. And there's more coming, so stay tuned, because there's more coming, and I could not be more excited about it. All right, so now I'm going to add one right here, right next to this guy. All right, we are done. And as you guys can see, for the top of the mantle, what I did is I did a dual arrangement on this beautiful blue and white pottery. I absolutely love blue and white with the oranges and the browns and the beautiful tones of fall. And I went ahead and put some stick that they made on the middle right here. I put a little candle just for the scent of fall. And actually, here's a tidbit. I always like to light a candle when I'm recording a video. You might not see it, but it's always there, because I love to be inspired by the smells. And so I just want to point out that this beautiful, gorgeous garland, there is a core right here. And I'm always telling you, whether you're creating a wreath, a Christmas tree, a floral arrangement, you always have to have a core where everything radiates from. And remember, what happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up always has to come down. And that is the way you're gonna have a gorgeously balanced whatever you're creating. And also, I love the texture of the little pumpkin ribbon. You can see a peekaboo everywhere, and I just love that, because it really does create that fall feel. And I love all of the loops of ribbon. I think this turned out absolutely gorgeous, and I really hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends on Instagram, Facebook, and on WhatsApp, so they know about what we're doing here at Ramon at Home for fall and for Christmas, because that's coming really quick. And be sure to thumbs up the video if you learned anything. Also, leave me a comment down below and let me know what was your favorite part about this fall mantle DIY. Like I said, I had so much fun sharing this with you, but now I'm going to go get ready for our next fall DIY, so keep watching. And I'm gonna start by adding some of these really pretty eucalyptus. Now, here's the thing, you guys, it's all spread out like this because I went ahead and gave it a little bit of a touch of gold. I want it to be a little bit more glam. And if you've been following the channel, you know that what happens on the right happens on the left. And immediately we give it a spin around, we bring it forward, and we basically do the same on the other side. Creating that vertical line to create balance on your design is what's going to allow you to have a more beautiful centerpiece. So once again, we spin around, we bring it forward, and we insert right here. Now we have to define the height. So I'm gonna start right here with one of these beautiful boxwoods with a touch of gold. I'm gonna start right here, and then we're going to do the same over on this side. I'm gonna go over to this side, and that's going to give us the height of the centerpiece. Now I'm going to insert some other greeneries. Now we have some other foliages. I have a beautiful neutral oak, but I want to cover some of my perimeter with this. And so the way we do that is, remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. As you know, I went to this retreat in Kentucky a few weeks ago, and I was inspired to create these shirts, you guys. I'm going to create these t-shirts later on this season. Stay tuned for that, because everybody talks about what happens on the right happens on the left. It has caught on officially. Everywhere I go to do one of these classes, there's somebody who tells me, you know, Ramon, the thing that you taught me was that what happens on the right happens on the left. And that really makes me happy, you guys, because I've been doing this for quite a few years now, as I'm sure you know. And to meet you in person has always been the highlight of my trips when I'm teaching in different places in the US. All right, so now I'm going to bring my foliage, that it's this beautiful oak. Like I said, it's a neutral oak. And I'm just gonna start intertwining them. And next week, you guys, we're going to be doing a beautiful garland for above the door. I've never done a garland for above the door, so I'm super excited. Okay, here's the secret. When you insert, be sure to give it a little bit of a spin. So that way it's more, we call it the money maker. If you put it flat like this, it really doesn't catch the light, but by giving it this a little bit of a spin, then the light really will catch on, and it's going to look absolutely fabulous, honey. So we're going to insert, okay, let's see over here. We're trying to cover as much as we can of this foam, but also I want it to be a little bit more airy, so I have to be really diligent about where I put all of these beautiful foliages. So this is what it's looking like. Like I said, this green and this neutral foam, and how cute is that with a berry on the top? Isn't that gorgeous? All right, so now what I'm going to is I'm going to grab some of these flowers, and I'm going to start with some of these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous white bleach hydrangea. Listen to me, sunflower. And I'm going to cut the stem where the foliage comes, but guess what? I'm also going to insert this foliage because that's going to create more of a natural look. So I'm going to start right here on the top. Remember, we have to respect that circle, so do not go further down than that circle. We have another one right here, so I'm going to insert about this much, then just cut the top of your foliage and then insert this guy or whatever. What happens on the right happens on the left, so immediately if you have another one, just go ahead and put them like that. So now what I'm going to is I'm going to bring this guy right here. Now this is facing almost to my left. I kind of want to bring this one down, but face it a little bit to my right. So that way they look intentional. So now I'm going to spin around and I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to bring one of these guys right here and I'm going to cut this one. Let me see which other one do I have. Do I have a shorter one? I have a shorter one that I can cut with no foliage. So I'm going to cut this guy right here. I'm going to bring over to this side looking up. And remember, the other one has to go looking the opposite direction like this. And so this, I have my foliage, I'm going to add it right here to the corner. And that's going to create more nature-inspired look. All right, so now I'm going to spin it around and see how they are basically the same but opposite. So you have to create that in order to create balance. You have to bring the same elements to one side of the table and the same elements to the other side. Now this is where it's going to be really fun because we're going to add some other foliage, like some other flowers like this right here. And once again, cut those foliages and first insert the foliage. I'm going to put one right here where the sunflowers, oh, my flower, where the sunflowers are. So immediately I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, you guys, if you've been following this channel, you know that I also love the sound of the foam being poked with the flowers. It's my favorite. I'm gonna bring out my wires. You guys know that I love a 20 gauge wire. My ex-boss used to say that you can basically fix anything that is wrong with this world with a 20 gauge wire. And if you work with that gentleman, you know he wasn't lying. Mr. was not lying. He always knew how to use this wire to fix problems around the flower shop. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one of these orbs right here. And just by inserting that wire, look how cute that is. That brings that natural element. Now this is a little bit up. What I'm going to do, this too short of a wire. You know what, I think I have a shorter one. Because sometimes I've been needing those longer ones and I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't cut it. So I'm going to add another one. Just go ahead and put the S hook right here and then close, grab it like a little pencil. So remember to opposite on the other side. We're going to poke right here, like so. Oh. Right there, to make sure that it sticks. All right, you guys, so far we added our foliage with the gold and then our light oak. So now I'm gonna bring my flyaways. You know it's not a Ramon at home without the flyaways, so keep watching. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and put the hurricane in, and so now we have our flyaways. And for that, I have the berries that we used on our wall pocket, and then also I have this gorgeous, 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 let me get this out of the way, flyaway flower that I just absolutely love. So I have to be very intentional with this. So I'm gonna bring my wire cutters, and I'm super excited, like I said, to share with you the garland for above the door. I cannot wait. So I'm gonna start right here. So I wanted to bring the hurricane so I can get closer. So remember I told you on our last video that when it comes down to the flyaways, I'm always telling you what happens on the right happens on the left, what goes up must come down. But when it comes down to the flyaways, we throw all of the rules out the window, out they go, because I want you to just let your eye dictate where do you want your flyaways to go. So I added a set of 2 over on this side. I added just 1 over on this side. So I'm going to do this triangle, and I'm going to add a set of 3 to create that triangle and to make sure that we have balance. So there's 1. I'm going to add another one all the way to the bottom. There's 2. And then I'm going to add yet another one closer to this one. And this is going to create more of a cluster, and that it's more visible to the eye, as you guys can see, than if you just have one. But in this case, we did that triangle. So you basically draw a line with a cluster, and then you pick a point. And you can do that line vertical, horizontal. You just have to draw a line on your design and then always finish with a point. So that's all I'm going to use for that. And I have this really pretty wispy flyaway that I am obsessed with. So I'm gonna start right here, and I'm going to let all of these grasses just spill forward. I think it is more beautiful when it's on the table and it's just gracing the table. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. So I'm gonna start right here, and then I'm going to go in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh, that just made me hungry. In and out. We have a burger joint here in California called In and Out. And we agree, me and Jameson, that it is perhaps the best fast food there is. We love it. We really don't eat much fast food, but if we're in the mood for it, then In-N-Out is the place to go to. Doesn't it sound good? I'm making myself hungry, honey. All right, you guys, so here is this beautiful neutral centerpiece for fall with a beautiful candle. I absolutely love the way this turned out. I have a pumpkin over here I want to share with you. This is a beautiful pumpkin that just goes so well with this theme. Like I said, this with the gold a little bit of a touch of a gold, and all of the neutral colors really looks glam and sophisticated. And I really hope that you enjoyed it and you are going to give it a try. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down, and you too can have a gorgeous centerpiece for fall. What do you guys think? Woo, that was a lot of fall decorating and DIYing, and I just had a blast sharing this compilation with you. I cannot wait to read your comments, so be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know which out of all of those fall DIYs was your favorite. And don't forget that if you want to continue to be inspired, I'm going to put a playlist right here with even more fall decorating ideas. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and until next one, you can watch more videos right now. Bye.